Despite rulings for fired cop, aldermen back process for disputes. Several Manchester aldermen disagree over whether elected leaders should keep approving union contracts, with language that, in some cases, force city officials to rehire fired workers. At issue are provisions that call for final and binding arbitration in ministry of many public sector union contracts. That means when a union believes a member has been unjustly fired, the union can take the case before a neutral arbiter. The judge, like arbiter, makes the final determination, and because the contract calls for the ruling to be final and to bind both sides, little can be done once a ruling is issued. The city is currently facing an unfair labor practice complaint for refusing to abide by a December 2019 decision by an arbiter to rehire Manchester police officer Aaron Brown. In 2017, Brown joked about shooting black men and referred to them as parking tickets in Texas to his wife on a police department cell phone. The city hired labor lawyer who took the case called Brown a proven racist. Brown told internal affairs investigators he might be prejudiced but is not a racist. The arbiter, Brooklyn, Mass lawyer, ordered Brown rehired and awarded him all but 30 days in back pay. For every week he is not hired, the city racks up about $1,540 in pay that could eventually go to him. Mayor Joyce Craig did not return a telephone call or email asking for her position on the issue. Newly appointed police chief Alan Oldenburg would not comment, said Heather Hamill, the department's spokeswoman. Derek Balder, the president of the Manchester Police Patrolmen's Association Union, did not want to comment either, Hamill said. Accountability versus fairness. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen approves union contracts on behalf of the city. Opinions vary among several aldermen contracted for this article. Some said arbitration is the only way to ensure fairness. Others said the process needs to be reconsidered in light of Brown's rulings. Before we throw it out, there's got to be a way to have people have their day in court, said Kevin Canavan, an alderman who was just re-elected to the state Senate seat. An official in a private sector union, Kavanaugh, said he favors binding arbitration in cases of discipline. What else would the resource be, he said. But Alderman Barbara Shaw said she thinks a police chief or other department heads should have the final say on discipline and terminations. Everybody has the right to plead their case, but an arbiter isn't responsible for that person when they go back to the workplace, said said Shaw, a retired public school teacher who was reelected to the New Hampshire House. Joe Kelly Levasseur called the Brown case a bad situation. We're getting burned pretty bad, Levasseur said. In this case, I think the people thought they would win, and we're very surprised when they did not. The city has 13 union contracts, which usually come up for recognition every 2 to 3 years. Levasseur said he would like to get rid of binding arbitration and have all city employees be at-will workers, but he acknowledged that likely won't happen. Maybe the unions will move a little on arbitration. If they do, they will want something else, he said. Manchester aldermen are heavily titled toward unions. Many are current union members, employees who work for unions, or retired city workers who had been represented by a union. One is Jim Roy, a retired fire captain. If it's not binding, you're just spinning your wheels. There's no decision made, Roy said. Bill Barry, a retired sheriff deputy and one-time union negotiator, said the Brown case is challenging. In a perfect world, officers like him are weeded out before they are hired, Barry said. Like Roy, he favors a process that allows a neutral party to make a final decision. Binding is binding. You have to accept the result, Barry said. The city has 3 outstanding grievances this year, one of which has been scheduled for arbitration, according to the city human resource director, Kathleen Ferguson. She said the office does not have historical data on how many arbitrations take place each year, nor does she know how many the city has won and lost. The case of Darren Murphy, a Manchester police officer fired in the same time period as Brown, has not yet to conclude, city officials have said. Different approaches. Historically, cities and towns have been able to keep arbitration files and decisions secret. But the New Hampshire Supreme Court ruled earlier this year that not all metrical and public employee personal files is exempt from disclosure. If a good reason exists, a government entity must release the metrical, the court ruled. That's what the city did last month in response to the right to know request from the Union Leader Corp and ACLU, New Hampshire, for Brown Metrical. The state of New Hampshire portrays all public sector contracts online. Most call for a final and binding arbitration, but not all. For example, labor disputes in Goffstown and Sandown can end up in arbitration. But the decision is only advisory. Selectmen have the final say, and their decision is binding. Peter J., a North Chelmsford, Massachusetts lawyer who often represents police and police unions, estimates 90% of union contracts call for binding arbitration. When they don't, decisions can be appealed to the Public Employee Labor Relations Board and the court system, he said. That takes more time and money. He noted that both sides agree on an arbiter. Arbiters are experts in labor law, and they have to make the final decision or they won't get hired. Alderman Dan O'Neill, who also has a labor background, said most disputes get settled before arbitration. I don't know if we want to blame this on binding arbitration and we should get rid of it, O'Neill said. I don't know if we've had problems other than this one. And that does it for this news report right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this news report on the Riley King Network. Goodbye, everyone.